bills that you guys have decided on and have had introduced this legislative session. If you, this is just a little bit closer, so you can see that each of the bills is listed with the bill number, which links you to the status page, or you can look at the bill itself by clicking on the PDF symbol on the far left. And of course, there's the description of the bills to help you make sense of it all. If you click on one of the bill numbers, you'll get to the status page, which of course is where you can find everything that ever happens to the bill, as well as testimony, all sorts of things on the side. Now, back to the reports and lists page. Say I wanted to look at something that wasn't in the measures by package, something that's not wasn't part of the Kupuna Caucus's package. I could go to the bottom left and click subject search in a word. Say I'm interested in care facilities. I don't know if it's going to be singular or plural, so I'll stop it at the T, facilit, and up will come a list of bills that have the word care facility in its bill title, description, or keyword. It's a really nice way to find bills quickly. There is a more thorough way to find bills, which is to use the keyword search on the home page. And I'm just going to use the word grandparent as an example. And this will search through the entire content of all of the bills that have been introduced. So here, the bill itself may not have anything to do with grandparents. Maybe it's quoting a section of the law that has the words grandparent in it. So you'll have to search a little bit more there. So I find that a little bit more cumbersome. I prefer the reports and lists button and the subject search, but you can do it whichever way you like. Now, to hear about hearings, once you've found bills that you're interested in, you'll want to make sure you don't miss the chance to testify. So you're going to want to sign up for hearing notices. And we've got 3 interactive buttons on the website. Testimony.
We're still voting. We're not the Kupuna Caucus bill. No, our bill. Ours. Intro.
After that thread was there was no need for the testimony. So I don't know if they didn't submit testimony or what.
I let her know. So.
Excuse me, Virginia, could you stop muted? If anybody is not on mute, could you mute yourself?
She went into our mail bill.
Competition with Virginia and other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So our 3 interactive buttons are to submit testimony, to sign up for hearing notices, and to track measures. So the first time you use those interactive buttons, you'll have to register with the website, which is very easy to do. You'll just type in your email address and you make up a password for this website. And then you go and confirm you're not a robot by going to your email, and then you're all set. From then on, you just sign in, put in your password, buttons turn orange. You'll click on the one that says hearing notification, and then you'll just put in one after the other every bill that you want to make sure if it comes up for a hearing that you are sent a hearing notice. Okay, just type them in one after the other, and that way you'll be sure not to miss your chance to testify. In addition, you're very welcome to subscribe by committee. And that's really nice, you know, if you're interested in, say, education issues and you want to sign up for the House and the Senate education committees, then you'll get an email every time they have a hearing. And you can look through the hearing notice to see if there are any bills of interest for you. And this is kind of what a hearing notice looks like. It's going to have a number of different bills on it usually. And at the very end will be guidelines on how to offer testimony. And usually in those guidelines, it'll say that the deadline is 24 hours prior to the hearing. So just know that it's always fast, fast, fast. They'll give you 48 hours notice that a hearing is coming up. In the Senate, the first committee will give you 72 hours notice, but still, you've got to turn around the written testimony pretty quickly. So just make sure you've got the basics in there, the bill number, your name. They don't accept anonymous testimony. Make it really clear whether you're for or against the bill, and then why. Where are you coming from? Are you an expert? If you are, that's great, but you don't need to be. Maybe you're coming from a place of experience. Maybe your auntie had an experience. Maybe you're coming from moral or religious beliefs on what government should do. Just let them know where you're coming from. Once you've typed up your testimony and saved it on your computer, you'll sign into the website, click on the testimony button, and then just type in the bill number and click on continue. You'll get this form, and I'm going to make it a little bit larger so you can see it a little better. It'll have the hearing information up at top. It'll fill in your name. You just indicate whether you support or oppose the legislation, whether you're testifying as an individual or on behalf of an organization, and then whether you want to submit just written testimony. I've got my written testimony, I want to put it in, and that's all I want to do. Or do you also want to sign up to offer oral testimony over Zoom? So just let them know which one you want to do. If you are going to opt to testify over Zoom, you want to make sure that where it says testifier's full name up there, that name is going to match your Zoom identity. So that's how they'll know to let you into the waiting room, from the waiting room. And then you'll just choose your file, or it may say browse here. You basically are going to attach your file just like you attach a file to an email message. And then you'll click on submit. If instead of adding the, typing up your testimony ahead of time, you can alternately come to this page, fill out the form, and just type your testimony in the testimony comments box. That works too. So one way or the other, and then you'll click submit. Once you've clicked submit, your testimony page will show up with a green box on the left-hand side showing that you submitted testimony for that measure and hearing. If you also requested to testify remotely via Zoom, it'll also say Zoom requested. Then what happens is about 3 hours prior to the hearing, that Zoom requested turns into a join button. And that's how you're going to join the meeting. So you'll come back 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes before the hearing, sign back in, click on testimony, click on join, and there you'll go. Now, I just want to make sure that you're aware there's no guarantee here. They're going to try to get as many people to testify as possible, but they have time constraints. And there's no guarantee, even if you get the Zoom link, that they may run out of time during the hearing. So they're doing their best to accommodate people. Some of them have dead time limits, 1 or 2 or 3 minutes per person. So you want to respect those limits. Yeah, you'll just be doing a Zoom, and if you're all here, you know how to do Zoom. So if you do have a device with a video camera, it is much more compelling for the committee to be able to see you. And you'll want to keep your chat panel open. So you want to click on that little chat icon down at the bottom of your screen or wherever it appears on your device. And that's how the legislative staff will let you know that you're going to be next and that kind of thing. And if you have any technical issues, how you can communicate with them. And you'll be muted and your video is going to be off until it's your turn to testify. They'll send you a request to turn on your camera, and then they'll ask you to unmute, and then you'll just pause for a moment and begin addressing the committee. Some tips. Just want to mention that if you are able to communicate from a hardwired internet connection, that's the best quality. So if you do have that available, use it. And then you want to make sure that if you're listening to the proceedings on or somebody in your space is listening to the proceedings on YouTube, that you turn that off before you start to testify. Otherwise, we're going to get horrible feedback. And really remember that you're participating in a public event. It's being streamed on YouTube. All of the events are this year. And in addition, it will be archived so that people can watch it in the future. So you'll just chair, vice chair, members of the committee. I'm here in strong support of this important piece of legislation. You want to be courteous, respectful, professional. Remember to breathe, tell the truth. Let them, teach them your way of thinking. So tracking bills. So you've got bills that you're interested in, and you signed up for hearing notices, but then you also want to keep track of, okay, what happens after the hearing? And, did they do decision making? What happened to the bill? So bill tracking is really nice. If you're following more than 3 or 4 bills, I would highly recommend setting up your own tracking list. You'll just create a list by naming it something. You'll put things on it, and then you'll generate a report. So you'll sign into the website, click on Measure Tracking. This is the confusing screen. It says add a list. Just name it something. I can call it My Bills. You can create as many lists as you like. Click on Show List. It says, well, it's empty. Put something on it. You have the option to add notes that will become a column on your report. And then when you're done, you'll generate the report. And then from here on in, you'll just go to Measure Tracking, Show List, Generate Report, and then up comes your beautiful report with your notes column added. And the nice thing about this is if you're looking at, say you've got 10 bills that you're looking at, and you want to know what's changed in the last 2 days, you can double click on the current status header, and it will resort your report. So whatever's had the most recent activity comes to the top of the page. You can find out, oh, this one's up for second reading. Oh, this one, it's been reported out of committee with a new draft. I want to take a look at that. This one, I'm up to date. Then you can resort it by double clicking on the measure header, and it'll put it into alphanumeric order. You can then save the document as a PDF, landscape style, or print it out, and it looks like you've worked on this thing for hours. It's really quite simple, but we're very happy to walk you through it. I do want to mention the Public Access Room's website. We have lots of helpful information, including this wonderful document, the calendar, because when you're tracking bills, it helps to know what deadlines they have to comply with. And you can find that information on our website by going to the Current Legislature tab. And we have calendars, we've got a chart on which deadlines apply to my bill, we've got lists of senators, lists of representatives, all sorts of things, committee schedules, you name it, it's there. So I do want you to know that that's available. Please don't hesitate to call or email us. We're very happy to help. And I think that's all I've got there. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Virginia. Are there any questions? Just raise your hand, or if you want to include your question in the chat, please do. Thank you, Virginia, very much. Very thorough explanation of how we can get help from you. Anyone for questions for Virginia? Okay, well, you did such a good job. No questions.
They want to get into the bills, yeah. Okay, well, thanks so much for having me. Take good care.
Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. Aloha. I do want to say that if you are, testifying, that we do have a short time frame. It's an hour and a half. So it's not the luxury you used to have before where you could go on and on to really explain yourself. It's really like 2 minutes and you're up. So we do read the written testimony. So send your written testimony, but highlight or stand on your testimony if you're going to come in live on Zoom. So I just want to remind you, especially those of you who want to add more or highlight your testimony to do that. And I see co-chair Troy Hashimoto has come back from Higher Education Committee. Decision.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all.
So just in time to go over where we are on the 2021 bills of the caucus. Representative Hashimoto has done a lot of good work on trying to get bills through, and some of them have already been heard. So you want to start us off, Troy?
Yeah, so at least on the House side, we've been trying to get some of the bills scheduled, and we've been trying to work through some of the issues that have been brought up. I think we were trying to see what happened with HB 488, and that deferral happened essentially because of the testimony that they need more staff, essentially double the staff, to complete the inspections at the care facilities, so that Chair Yamane, because of his issue regarding not wanting to have money type bills moving, defer the bill. And so I think that was a hurdle that we were going to have to work through. And I know Senator Moriwaki was going to try and make some progress on for the Senate companion to see if we can figure out what could be changed before the Senate has heard that. We just heard for HB 489 regarding the long-term care insurance. This was scheduled by CPC at 2 o'clock. So my staff was just watching to see what happened with that bill, and they deferred that bill as well, citing that they don't think it was an issue in Hawaii. And I know my staff was telling me Peter Fritz would actually try to give a nice rebuttal. I think Rep. Har gave a statement that she didn't think it was an issue, and it's not an issue in Hawaii. So I think we may have to kind of evaluate to see what are the points about that, to see what approach that we need to take regarding that. And then let's see. I think that's it for now on the House side. I think I spoke with Chair Yamane regarding HB 490, the offenses against seniors, and I think he has a verbal agreement that he's going to schedule that at some point. But if it doesn't get scheduled in the House, I think we have a plan B just in case for the Senate version. So some are moving, a lot are dead at this point, but we have another chance in the Senate. So I know Senator Moriwaki is working very hard to try and get us moving on the Senate side.
Thank you, and I really want to thank Co-Chair Hashimoto, because he's really been pushing hard on the House side, and at least as we know early on. So what he learns, and we're really coordinating what he learns, that he has some trouble on the House side, I'm going to try to correct and move on the Senate side. So the one that he just mentioned now that was deferred on the care facilities inspection, I did check with Keith Ridley at OCA, and the concern about his not having staff to do the inspections, that the inspections happen, it takes a long time because they're very thorough. And we had some discussion about maybe if I can get the bill heard on the Senate side, clarifying that it's not the inspection reports, but they know whether a facility has no major deficiency, is fine, and those kinds of not reports, but so it's just in terms of listing this no deficiency, no major deficiencies, that can be done early on. So if we clarify that, and it's not an onerous task that needs to have a lot of staff work writing up the report and not having enough time to do a thorough report, perhaps that could be a compromise. And so I've asked Director Ridley to see if he can come up with that kind of language. If he can, we will try to see if the health chair, Ke'oho Kalole, will hear that bill and it will be clean enough to put in the amendment and then make it go forward. So right now it's still up in the air, but that's kind of the game plan going forward. Thanks to Representative Hashimoto giving us a heads up about what the concerns were in the House. The long-term care insurance, that surprises me because it is a problem that came up last year by actual Kupuna that had problems of having their insurance policy lapse because they didn't get proper notice and they didn't even know what was happening. So we will take it forward on the Senate side and hopefully clarify with enough testimony from all of you. So I think that it really helps, even if you can't come in, to send in testimony so that the legislators can hear the concerns. Because if we don't hear anything, especially those who are not in the Kupuna Caucus, that there really isn't that kind of weight behind it to make some of these changes. So I really urge you to send in testimony, even if you can't come on Zoom and on remote. It's really important to get testimony in. That's the only way we know that there's concern and support. And SB 837, we're going to wait for the House, and hopefully that will come over. It's a single referral on the Senate side, so that's why it's not so urgent right now. We'll see what happens on the House. If there's a problem on the House, we have only one committee, Judiciary Committee, to go to. And again, it always helps to have voices from our community to the chairs of these committees so that they know there is, in fact, a concern. The Executive Office on Aging Bill, the SB 838, again, we're going to see what Human Service does with Representative Hashimoto, myself, but mostly it's Representative Hashimoto, seeing, because this is not a really money bill. It's really allowing more flexibility of EOA to get Kupuna caregiver services from the Kupuna Care authorization.
Senator, this is
You have a question?
Debbie. She needs you from Executive Office on Aging.
Yeah, Debbie.
So we have a governor's bill, House Bill 988, which is the same as your Kupuna Caucus Bill 491. And it was heard this morning in Representative Yamani's committee, and he passed it out with amendments. So it's going on to CPC.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry we have a duplicative bill in the caucus, but at the time we were voting, we didn't know whether the governor was going to put our bill through the package. So I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. As long as it gets through, that's fine. We will claim it anyway. As long as it gets through. So that's good news. So that's HB 988 now. Is that correct?
Right, right.
Okay. So we will watch it. And so Representative Hashimoto, you can kind of follow and let us know what we do on the Senate side after it passes, hopefully on the House side. So the last one is SB 839. I'm still checking with the Health Committee whether it would be heard on our side.
Yep, and it will be heard. I think it just got scheduled.
Oh! It got. Oh, okay. It got scheduled. Sorry. So at least we have it moving on our side. So it will be heard on February 10th. You can see on the screen in the Health Committee on the Senate. So if you can, please submit testimony because I know that there may be concerns in the House side. Yeah, Troy. So whatever
Yeah,
you,
so yeah, I think if it continues to move in the Senate, I'll be sure to have another conversation with our House counterparts to see. I think there was a question about HB 487, and I think my sentiment was it was likely not going to move in the House, so we needed to at least try and move it in the Senate first. So I appreciate Senator Moriwaki trying to getting that scheduled.
okay, and I think that's it. Are there any questions? Anybody, questions, comments?
Senator, this is Debbie Shimizu again.
Yeah,
So
Debbie.
is it a policy, or are you guys saying that if it's heard in one house, then the other house is not going to hear the companion, or can we still push for having the companion bills heard?
You can still push. I mean, you know, because you then have two vehicles, one in either house. I think what we're looking at is if it isn't heard on one side, for sure we've got to push on the other side. But if it is heard on one side, we've got, and to be honest, and I know it's the same way in the House, is that we're pushing really quickly because we have a curtailed session. So there's so many bills. Trying to schedule them all and trying to get it heard. So everybody has their top priorities, and our bills may not be top priority. So if one side is heard, at least we know it's moving. So we can follow and coordinate really closely with each other so that we don't lose, you know, the one vehicle or two vehicles if we can. But that, I mean, so this year it's really difficult because of you know, our session being curtailed, we having really short timelines, and the number of bills that are being heard is limited because we only have an hour and a half per committee. So that's why we're trying to be strategic in that sense. But yeah, if we can hear it on both sides, and we have chairs who are willing to hear it on both sides, we will do that.
Thank you.
Add anything to that, Troy? No.
No, yeah, I think we're trying to at minimum get it scheduled in one house or the other, you know, I think that's what we're achieving at the moment. I think the ideal situation would be we'd have on two sides, but I don't think it's working out that way this year. I think just because there's so many triples in the House, and I think there's other priorities. And so I think we're at least trying to move one side.
Any other questions or comments about what we're trying to do? We're hoping to get the whole package through, but you know, as you can see, it's kind of spotty on both sides. So we'll try our best. And really, all of you are very important because the chairs or the committees where these are going really need to hear from you. You know, we can put it forward, but it's really the testimony. We all read the testimony. So the more that you can all submit on these bills and give good justification for them to see, like this insurance bill, we saw that it was a big problem last year. I don't know, the person who asked us to introduce him, I don't know, is here. Peter Fritz. He made a big deal about how important it was, because a lot of elderly don't read their mail. Somebody else reads their mail, and you could have your policy lapse not knowing. Oh, he's here.
Yeah, maybe Peter can explain, because I wasn't watching it personally, but I know my staff indicated that you know, he was on there, so maybe you can explain some of the issues that arose.
Peter, you want to unmute yourself? Good.
Okay. One of these days I'll really learn this, but right now it's a tough learning curve.
We all are.
So thank you for your patience. The primary issue is that people are saying there's a lot of protection in the law right now, and it's true. 30 days, they send out a notice, and then there's another provision that says that you have up to 5 months if you didn't receive the notice, and it's a single issue. The issue is whether or not the notice actually was mailed. And I've had problems with notices where somebody said it was mailed on the 27th of December, but it wasn't mailed until 20 days later. And so that's the issue. So people are thinking that it's not that important. And we can't seem to get beyond the fact that there are protections in the law at this time. However, the issue isn't the protections that exist in the law. The issue is whether or not the male left the building. And that's the issue. And that's why the terminations, the question came up. They're saying, well, the law protects you. So it's either mailed or it isn't mailed. And I was unaware that somebody had a problem with notice requirements in the past in Hawaii. I know a long time ago there have been some, but I'm not aware of anything that happened. So if somebody can tell me more about it or get that person to come forward, maybe it will move. The problem is I'm just one individual. I don't represent an industry or anything else, and I haven't seen the testimony from the insurance department. There also was an issue saying it was expensive. It will cost $6 in order to mail it. And it doesn't require receipt. It just requires proof of mailing, so that if there is a question about whether or not a notice was sent, the burden's on the insurance company to prove that it was sent. And the computer doesn't know if it was sent, only having proof from the mail or some other agency. Anyhow, I don't want to go on too long. I hope that that lays a little bit of background.
Thank you, Peter. Do you know, were you at the hearing? Were you there, or
I testified.
you testified? And you were the only one? No one else testified?
No, there was somebody from the insurance industry who testified last year, but this year he didn't say that there weren't any notes and there weren't any laws in other states, because I cited those laws in my testimony. But they say it's a problem in search of a solution. My answer is be proactive and prevent the terrible problems that can happen if a policy gets canceled. Make sure the notice goes out. And the insurance company can't prove that the notice goes out. And that's all this bill is designed to determine.
Okay, thank you, Peter. So if all of you can look at that bill, and it was a priority for the caucus. So if you can look at that and see if you can support that, and go forward with some of the concerns. If we get to hear that as well on our side, we will let you know. Is that the 835 bill? Okay, so announcements. Do we have any announcements from anyone? Caroline, you had an announcement.
Yes, good afternoon, Senator and everyone, Representative Hashimoto. I did want to make an announcement. We are searching for members who want to be part of our Policy Advisory Board on Elder Affairs. Applications are being taken at Boards and Commissions website. And the applications, I believe, need to be in by February 15th. And I do have some information. If people are interested, they can either email me or call me on my cell. I will put it into the chat. And feel free to even call me this weekend if you want to learn more about what we do and the work. It's a lot of advocacy, sharing of information, bringing forth ideas to support older adults and their caregivers and individuals with disabilities. And we'd love to have anyone interested in your Kupuna Caucus. So you're interested in these subjects. So we'd really like to welcome anyone that would like to be nominated by the governor, and then it goes forward to the Senate. So I just wanted to share that information because I know the deadline's coming up. So just go to the Boards and Commissions. There's to the left-hand side of the website, an area to apply. Thank you.
So Caroline, again, what was the deadline for that?
February 15th.
February 15th, everybody. So submit your application. It's a good policy board.
Thank you, Senator.
So any other announcements? Okay, seeing none. We do have our meetings with guest speakers for future Kupuna Caucus meetings. So if you will send us, either Representative Hashimoto or myself, any suggestions you have for future speakers. We like to learn about what's going on in the community. And so if you can send us names, contacts, we can have them come and speak to us at one of our future meetings. And I see Caroline put her email address and her phone number for you to contact her if you would like to serve on the policy board, ABIA. Anything else that anybody wants to bring up that wasn't on our agenda that you would like to share? Leigh Learmont.
One concern I've been having is how is the state communicating to all the seniors in terms of just like the vaccines and things like that when a lot of things are done online and a lot of people, like in Wahiawa, we don't have that many people with computers. If they have a smartphone, they may not know how to use it for doing things like that. And when I ask someone that's connected with the hospital is not doing vaccines because they're not one of those allotted the vaccines to give out, which is a shame because that would be a good place to start. And he said that, well, they can contact by telephone, but how do the seniors find out that that's where you can contact and the phone number? Because I'm noticing that a lot of people are not, everyone, whatever age, is not subscribing that much to the newspaper. I don't know how many of them watch the news, instead of their favorite show. I'm kind of wondering about the outreach to the older person that's at home and not connected to an organization.
Caroline, can you respond to that, please?
Hi, Leigh and everyone. Yes, I'd be happy to respond.
Thank you.
It is, it's an evolving process. Unfortunately, the vaccines came out, and each week we don't know the allotment until the end of the week for the following week. So for the department to plan out accordingly, I know it has been a little difficult. There is a plan in place that the department has put into place, and there's various work groups. I belong and co-chair a 75 plus work group that is providing recommendations up to the Department of Health. And one of them is around this whole issue of having to apply online, which is very difficult for older adults, 75 plus. There is a call number, and I do apologize. I was looking for it before I got on, that you can call the Department of Health. I do know, though, that number is being widely used right now, and it is hard to get a hold of. Queens Hospital also has a call number, and I will find this information and make sure it gets to Senator Moriwaki and Charles so that they can send it out. I'm sorry, I don't have it with me right now. And then there's those that have the physical ability to go to one of the, what they call points of distribution. That's either the Blaisdell or Pier 2. The good news is that President Biden has put out through CVS another allocation of vaccines. So CVS is also going to have the possibility in 7 locations statewide to give out vaccinations. Luckily, they do have a call number too. That number is going to be available, I believe, starting around February 11th. And I'm hoping I have all my dates correct. So one of the things that we're trying to do in our 75 plus work group is to come out with some outreach materials for those specifically older adults, something that's user-friendly, bigger font, easy to understand. So we are working on that and hope to working as quickly as we can to get that out, and trying to also find those pockets of older adults, especially our homebound, who have difficulty, and trying to identify those, where those people are at, how we can get to them. So it's a work in progress right now that we're working with the Department of Health. My other understanding too is that right now, over the next 2 weeks, they're really working on those second inoculations for those that had already received their shots. And so I heard at one of the meetings I was at on Wednesday that in about 2 weeks, they'll be opening up appointments for those first shots for those 75 plus again.
And I was kind of wondering whether there might be a possibility. Well, I belonged to a senior citizen club before they all closed down with the COVID. And I've never gotten a call from that. It's a city program because I'm not too sure they kept a list of phone numbers or thought about calling the members up to give them information. But, you know, because we're computer poor in Wahiawa, that I know that the library has computers. And I kind of wondered whether the state could work with the public libraries in encouraging the seniors to see if they needed a computer type of contact, they could go there and the librarian be taught how to use the linkage and help the senior do it.
I'm so glad you're on this call. That was one thing I did not think of. Library is a great resource. Thank you. And we are rolling this out. I know it seems a little kind of like tug and pull because it's, you know, it's happening as we're building it, right? So I love that idea of the libraries. I will take that back to our work group. I think that's a great idea. And the people in the library can help.
Yeah.
Show them how to use the computers. That's an awesome idea. Thank you.
Welcome.
I hear you, Lei. I think that's a huge problem that I'm hearing on Maui too. You know, it's a big issue. You know, a lot of the providers don't necessarily want to use telephone because it takes a person, but that's the reality. We need that. And I think when I brought that up to DOH, I think part of it was they said maybe when there's more supply, in theory, they're supposed to contract out with more of your local pharmacy. So it's just like, you know, when you pick up your medicine, you can theoretically get it, but obviously at this point we just don't have enough supply to make that work. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I know everyone's, you know, antsy to get the vaccine, but it's slow going for sure. And I hear you. I think, you know, it's funny because people on Maui were saying, oh, why does everyone on Oahu getting their first shot? And we're not getting our first shot. Well, Maui's 2 weeks ahead. So now we're, you know, they're all experiencing that second shot. You know, everyone's not taking that first appointment again. So it's just like, hopefully we can get more supply. But real quick, do want to introduce myself, so thanks for joining us.
Oh. Rep Hashimoto, can you say that again? You were frozen in time.
Oh, sorry.
Can you repeat yourself?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to introduce my colleague, Rep Martin. She was able to join us here today. Okay. It's her birthday, actually, so I appreciate her joining us.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, we'll prove it. Yeah, so sorry that I'm late, but I did want to kind of have an ear out for what was going on. And I know with the vaccines, gosh, there is so much concern. And luckily at this point, the problem is not that people don't want to get it, but they just can't access it quite yet. And I know that people who are 65 and older, especially if they have, you know, don't feel they're healthy, are anxious, you know, to get access as well. So
thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, another thing too is that, you know, should they manage to get an appointment, how do you know, is there a way for them to call someone to drive them to the place? Like I had my
first. I volunteered to take people.
I'm old enough to have had my first vaccine, you know, several weeks ago. I'll be having my second one next week. But I went to Pier 2 and I didn't know how to get there. And they didn't give us a map until the day before the appointment. And I was going crazy trying to, because I'm not familiar with that area. So communication sometimes, even with computers, they're not that great.
Could I? Senator Moriwaki?
Yes? Anything
we
else?
are working on
Karen.
looking at gaps, things like transportation, those things. We're still working on details, so I can't share much more, but that is a concern. A huge concern is all around transportation and access to the vaccination site. So I just wanted to share that.
That's great. That's great. That'll be great. So when you get that information, maybe we could share that with everyone as well. So that would be most helpful. Okay, I just wanted to re-announce that we changed the time to 3 o'clock because we are in hearings. And so just during the session, if you will go along with our scheduling, we apologize because I know we've had the 1 o'clock meetings for 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock meetings for so long, but it'll be just during the session and we'll go back to our regular 2 o'clock time after the session. Anything else? Representative Hashimoto, anything
No,
else?
that's it. Just we'll see you again, everyone, next time.
Aloha.